Welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who is currently writing the third chapter of his latest book entitled How to Make a Simple Wallet. It's Jonny Numb. You like that?
I just got back from Catabasis, and I came back for my wallet, Jack. Yes.
So what you're saying is art and death are the same. That is the sound that we get when we get closer to hell. The millions of people, they join together. You know, I know it's a ringing sound in the house that Jack built when they get closer to hell, but I kind of took it as buzz. And so, I love Dante's Inferno, but I kind of started thinking about the buzz that Lars von Trier movies get when they come out and how many people sort of rally against them. So I felt like he was starting to say that this screaming, this noise, this ringing is just nothing to me. Like, it's just the masses complaining. I don't know if you got that from this movie.
No, I didn't, but that's a totally keen and probably very valid observation there. Yeah.
Why thank you. Hey, well, thanks for coming back. So we did the very light movie known as Dragged Across Concrete. And now we're doing the probably more G-rated movie, The House That Jack Built, directed by Lars von Trier. So I only really bring you in for the fluffy stuff, Jonny Numb. So I appreciate you coming back.
No, Dragged Across Concrete was really light. It was like a Rebel Wilson comedy, actually.
Yeah.
So I mean, could you imagine if Rebel Wilson was in the Mel Gibson role in Dragged Across Concrete?
Oh gosh. Well, you know what? I would pay to listen to her react to Vince Vaughn eating a tuna sandwich.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That would be amazing.
So it was like Vince Vaughn was eating a sandwich and it was like so slow and stuff. I could eat a sandwich faster than that.
Oh.
Yeah. Crushed it.
I thought you were going for Werner Herzog at first.
Oh man, I guess they kind of sound alike, so yeah.
But and also before we get in too far into this, I just want everyone to know that Jonny Numb is the co-host of the Last Knock podcast. It's amazing. Also check him out at Loud Green Bird to read his reviews, and he's also on Letterboxd under Jonny Numb. And I got to say something before we get into this very light and fluffy movie. You gave Ready or Not 2 stars, and we're adults, and I get exactly where you're coming from when I read your review. But if I was 17 and not as mature, I would have been like, "You don't get it, bruh." But I'm not, and I think you're a very intelligent man, and I'm honored that you're on our show. But I just want you to know what 17-year-old me would have thought about your opinion of Ready or Not.
Mark, would you have chased after me with a crossbow or something upon seeing my reaction to Ready or Not?
You would be up in the air right now. I would have you over my head, and I would be just running around with you.
Oh man, no, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we won't talk further about that. But this movie, man. Okay, House That Jack Built. I know I'm putting you out there, but break this movie down in 40 words or less. 40 words or less.
Okay. Oh shit, that counts toward the 40 words probably.
Yeah, you're at 10 now.
I'm at 10. Oh shoot, I'm in negative numbers now. Basically, it's following the title character played by Matt Dillon through, I believe it's 5.
Yep.
5 of his most noteworthy incidents as relayed to a character named Verge, who we don't see until near the very end, or maybe the very beginning of the movie, depending on your sense of time and perception. So it's basically a serial killer story told from the serial killer's POV, and the unreliable narrator aspects that go along with that.
Gee, that's perfect. So yeah, very unreliable narrator. Because I remember Matt Dillon was talking about the first kill with Uma Thurman, and she's saying all this, so the kills in this movie, they go from, so there's the kills in this movie, they go from almost improv, kind of jokey, right?
Oh yeah.
And then they go to, the second one is kind of goofy, right? He's not good at it yet, and he puts donuts and tea down a woman's throat. And then he drags her face first, and then rain washes away. And then we have a very cruel murder. Yeah. And then we have almost an unhinged murder. right? And then,
I would say so. It's the fourth one is very fetishized. Yeah.
Fetishize. Oh, perfect. Very Jack the Ripper. How's that Jack belt? Hey.
Oh yeah, Saucy Jack. Yeah. There you...
And then the last one, he just wants to be caught.
Yeah, it seems like it. Yeah.
Now, geez Louise, this movie's crazy. But, okay, Lars von Trier, right? So,
Sure.
I rewatched Antichrist for this, and that movie, let me start off by saying one thing. What I love about Lars von Trier is that, and we talked about this during our Drag the Cost Concrete episode, where there was an Onion article, early 2000s, where it says, Marilyn Manson is now going door to door trying to shock people.
Yeah.
I don't think Lars von Trier is at that point quite yet. I know that he's trolling in certain moments. He is wanting to push buttons. Matt Dillon said he liked the movie, and he said that Lars looked at him pissed off. Lars said that the jeers... Whenever I say Lars, I want to say Lars Ulrich, and they also did House That Jack Built.
That's
for
true.
a song. So he loves people walking out. He loves that reaction.
He's a bit like Gaspar Noé or that type of guy who's like he wants to piss you off. He wants to make you, the viewer, confront something maybe that you don't want to confront, and to him maybe it's a sign of success that, oh well, I did something that was so hard and so confrontational that you had no choice but to like just avert your eyes or just walk out in disgust. So it's kind of like, I win. Do you think people were primed to want to walk out? Because nothing in this movie is more shocking than Antichrist, right? In Antichrist, the Chaos Reigns moment isn't shocking, but I think it's beautiful. But there's moments in that movie that you just go, whoa. I am desensitized towards everything, but there's things in Antichrist that shock your face. And this movie, were there any whoa moments for you? Because I don't think I had those in this movie, because I felt a very playful spirit to it. Yeah, there's definitely, going back to the unreliable narrator thing, it's like the movie is almost void of any sort of real context, so it's not really it's definitely not a traditional narrative. I would almost call Antichrist kind of conventional by comparison in terms of a structural approach almost, and I think you're probably right, Mark. Antichrist is the more disturbing of the two, because I feel, in a way, this one, House That Jack Built, is inserting a lot of critique and auto-critique. Like, Von Trier's on the defensive and the offensive in this movie, whereas with Antichrist, it feels like he was trying to tell a story that was more detached from his ego, perhaps. It was part of his, depression trilogy? Yeah, with, Dogville and Melancholia or something else? Nymphomaniac. Melancholia, and then this. Melancholia is my favorite, by the way, of all of his fears. Yeah. The phantom camera slow motion scenes blew my mind. Mm-hmm. I show it to my students, and they're like, what are you showing us? But, no, I think you're absolutely right. Like, this movie... I almost expected, in Spaceballs when the alien pops out of that his chest and is like, hello, my honey, hello. Like, I almost expected that at certain moments. Is that bad? You mean in this one? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have put it past him to do something like that. Honestly, a scene, I saw this in the theater when it played for one night last year, which caused kind of a stir with the MPAA and everything. You saw the unrated? Yeah, that one night I drove like 40 minutes to check it out, and it was in like a pretty packed one screener theater too. So the reaction was very interesting, but the moment that I was surprised got a bunch of laughs from people was where you see the kid positioned in the freezer, upright, grumpy becomes smiley, and I was like, God, that's, even watching it again, I was like, God, that just, something with people with a frozen grin literally freaks me out. I don't like the creepy grin stuff. So is it bad? So going into this movie, I know his MO. So nothing the only thing that got me was the duck, the baby duckling. Yeah. And I love, that's all CGI, of course. I like whoever, the Humane Society, whoever, PETA, they said that they actually supported it by saying that young kids who become killers, they actually experiment on animals. So animals were hurt, but this took a serious, and what's crazy is, there's some hyper violence. I mean, he takes a child, he murders a child, and he molds the child in a freezer to have a smiley face.
But I found that not as disturbing. And I'm not trying to preach, but there are some like network TV shows on ABC, NBC, where people get murdered just willy-nilly and no one cares. There was a show on called Whiskey Cavalier, and this lady infiltrated herself into the antagonist or the protagonist group, and she eventually was found out. And the guy that she was dating to infiltrate the group killed her, shot her in the heart, and he just made a joke about it. And I just kind of went, this is on network TV, and there's no ramifications. But I guess when you watch a Lars movie, this violence is ugly. This is, you know, that's why I like Jeremy Saulnier movies, why I like S. Craig Zoller movies, is where the violence is not, it's not, hey, I just murdered my ex-girlfriend by shooting her in the chest and I'm going to make a joke about it. This is ugly violence.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And we could rabbit trail down something else, but I'll try not to.
Dude, let's rabbit. Let's do it.
Well, that's something that I'm going to be like probably 0 for 2 with you tonight, but I did not like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for that very reason. I think I felt the violence when it showed up was very like, oh, hey, oh, it's hilarious. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. And I understand what he was trying to do with that, the ending of that movie, but I was just like, it seemed to me more crass that he did what he did instead of doing what we know of history, kind of. Does that make sense without giving anything away?
I mean, do you think history was almost more violent with the amount of stabbings?
Oh, yeah.
I get what you're saying. For some reason, you know what I think I liked about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is just the filmmaking aspect of it all.
Well, I mean, that's definitely the high point, yeah.
Yeah, and so I guess when that happened, it didn't, I guess I was like, well, I guess it's better than the alternative. That's how I sort of rationalized it in my head. Does that make sense to you?
Oh yeah, absolutely it does. I was just kind of like, Dude,
we're grown men, man. It's all good. We disagree. It's perfect. I love it.
This year I have been like, everything that people have been raving about, and this is another rabbit trail, everything people have been raving about, I'm like, oh, I want to see that because I like the director or the pedigree behind it or the idea behind the movie. And then it's like Ready or Not. It's like, I knew you liked it and you were speaking highly of it. And I walked in ready to really get down. And initially I was really getting with its rhythm kind of, and then it just kind of lost me. So I was like, oh, that sucks because I really wanted to like this. So, it's been a weird year for me,
Now, Climax was this year, right?
I would say for our purposes, for U.S. viewers, I would say it's 2019.
What'd you think about Climax?
It's funny. There's an episode of The Last Knock coming up that that has not yet been posted. I'm not sure when it's gonna post, but because Bill controls all that. But we did talk about Climax. I'll just say, spoiler, I really liked it. I really did.
That was number 2 on Movies, Films, and Flix' best films of this decade.
Yeah, I've got that loaded on my iPod right now to listen to.
I just spoiled it. Yeah, so...
I knew you guys were going to talk about it, which was awesome, so I'm like, hey, whatever.
Yeah, it's one of my more lucid episodes.
I don't know if I can handle that, Mark.
Yeah,
I don't know.
When I bring in you and Zach Beckler and other guests, you guys really bring hey, my cats. You guys bring some, I don't know, like very well thought out and intelligent thoughts. So that's when I put a lot of brain power into these. So I'm gonna have to go into a sleep for about 4 days after this episode.
You're gonna go into the hyper sleep, Mark.
Yeah. You're not going to hear from me for a little while.
Another week in the cryo tubes, yeah.
So I guess we'll get back to this movie. Now, I guess what we were talking about, let's kind of like break down some of these kills in this movie and kind of how it goes. The first one involves Jack kind of killing. Is his first kill using a jack? Jack murders his first victim with a car jack.
Well, here's the thing, Mark, where it totally, Von Trier just totally goes at you with the unreliable narrator thing from the get-go. Oh, this guy's named Jack. What a coincidence that this first incident revolves around a jack, and it's broken. Oh, psychological problems, kind of. It's totally like he's making it up. These peripheral details of this incident, and yeah, I don't think it's coincidental at all. I think it's Von Trier saying, and he close-ups on the jack between Matt Dillon and Uma Thurman countless times during this when they're in the the red truck together. It's totally not a coincidence. Who knows what his real name is, but it's, hey, it's as good a name as any. And Jack, it's a red Jack, and it's a blunt force instrument, which is what Matt Damon kind of aspires to be. So
it's Chekhov's Jack.
Yeah.
So I thought this was interesting. So Matt Dillon was talking to him, and he was talking to Von Trier, and he said, it felt to me like the only time that Jack was passive, but then it became clear to me it's all in Jack's head. Uma's character is very real, but when she starts talking, the words we hear, that's his inner thinking. I told Lars, and he gave me a look like, you caught. And that's very interesting, right? So she's being very antagonistic in this scene. And it's the first kill of the movie, right? And so it sets it up. And it's almost like she's asking for it. And I think it gets uglier as the movie progresses. And that's why I don't think this movie is a shock value movie. I think it's a well thought out, layered film. I don't know. So what were we going to say?
No, I think... I don't know if antagonize is the word I would use, but I just think what you said was spot on. The reference to what she's saying is actually Jack's inner thoughts, because it's so absurd, along with the Jack itself as a device, a narrative device and an actual device that he uses to beat her head in. It's just like Uma Thurman is just giving you all the cliches, all the psychology that accompanies serial killer lore. And it's actually almost kind of ridiculously funny the way she goes about. It's just so cavalier. It's like, it takes the whole notion of C. Thomas Howell in The Hitcher, where he's like, oh, my mom never told me to do this. And it just takes it up a notch. It's like, it's if Rutger Hauer came in and started deconstructing this choice he'd made, kind of. So, rest in peace, Rutger Hauer.
We have a Lady Hawk episode coming out. So by the time you listen to this, our Lady Hawk episode will be out.
This will give me a chance to watch it. I've never seen that one.
Oh my goodness. Dude, he's good in it. Richard Donner, geez Louise.
Oh yeah, he was an efficient 80s guy. Yeah.
Just be ready for the synth score. Just be ready for it.
Is it Tangerine Dream or
no? It's Alan Parsons. And I mean, it does not work. But if you just listen to it, you'd be like, I want to go running. So it worked. It's just a very cheeky-esque score. But
gotcha.
Also, like, this thing though, he takes her to the thing. Her jack breaks, and then they fix it. It breaks again, and then he just drives her car across the state line, parks it where people can see it, but no one messes with it. He throws the keys kind of cheekily into a crick, and you never hear from it again. So this first kill is setting you up as I guess if you're a certain line of thinking, you're like, yeah, Jack, yeah. Or you're understanding that this is a Von Trier film and it's going to go somewhere weird.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting all these coincidences, and they continue kind of throughout the incidents as he goes through them. It's like all of this seems way too coincidental, and it almost plays into is that really how it happened, or is he just such an egomaniac? That it's like, some guys got all the luck, kind of, and it's like I'm one of those guys, and I just happen to kill people. So yeah. And
I love that Verge is like, you're full of shit.
Why are the women so stupid in your stories? Which is I love when Von Trier trots that out, because I was like, yeah, he's going to have to address that at some point or another, and I'm glad he actually did.
Random thing for you here. So at the con screening, when Matt Dillon was sitting right next to Von Trier, and at the end of it, Dillon looked at Lars and was like, that was great. And Lars looked at him like, I hate you. And he was like, oh crap, I shouldn't have said that. Like, there was something wrong with the movie because I liked it. Okay, no one will ever understand this. So we watch this movie, and, at the end, they're going... So I don't know if you know this, but... no, you obviously don't know this, but... So I was a lit major in high school, and I didn't decide that until my freshman year. So I was the classic feral child of the 80s, 90s. And when I graduated from high school, I just did sports, so I knew nothing about literature. Like, my favorite class was freshman year of high school, where we read Most Dangerous Game and Shakespeare. I'm like, this is amazing. Yeah. And I never did that again. So when I got to college, I went to a junior college before I went to Florida State, and I had a teacher who really put us through the ringer of reading. And that's the first time I read Dante's Inferno. And I remember I wrote like a 5-page paper, but it was supposed to be a speech. And then I got so nervous, I couldn't stand up in front of the class, so I sat at my desk, and instead of looking at the class, I just read from my paper. But that's the first time I think in my life that I wrote something really in depth about anything, which was Dante's Inferno. And after that, I really became obsessed with the art of Dante's Inferno. So, we have the Dali Museum. When I lived in St. Petersburg, Florida, in Sarasota, there's a Ringling Brothers Museum, and they also had some really cool art there. So I think I became extra invested in this movie because of the whole Dante's Inferno. And the whole red hoodie that Dylan is wearing is obviously a callback to some of the art of, traveling through the river Styx.
Yeah.
And so that's another reason I was super invested in this movie, by the way, is just the whole Dante and the traveling down. I became transfixed in this movie in the last half hour. What did you think about the last half hour of this film?
I had no idea. Something about von Trier, I think, is most of his stuff is very, you can't tell what he's going to do aesthetically or narratively from one moment to the next. It's like he gets these ideas for structure, and it's kind of ingenious in this film that he just has these 5 incidents and an epilogue. But that last half hour was like, where can he go with this? And I knew kind of that Verge was kind of this character who was guiding him along this journey, but I wasn't expecting the epilogue to go on for as long as it did.
I thought it was beautiful, dude. I loved it.
No, it was actually kind of fascinating to watch, and just how von Trier is like still employing like that Dogma 95 doctrine, kind of, because there's just these random images, scenes cut randomly. Then you have this like, is that one replication of artwork, the River Styx, Mark, where it's him and Verge on a boat, and it's going in slow motion, and there are all these writhing bodies beneath it.
And when they're going down the ladders with all the bodies.
Yeah, that too. It's everything's it goes normal speed, it goes in slow motion, and then it feels like it's not moving at all. And then he sees that flashback to when he was a kid with the guys who were cutting the size, the fields with the size and the sound that makes. It was very interesting, and it's kind of I thought it was appropriate, I guess you could say. It was fitting that von Trier went there instead of just like that he got metaphysical with it, I guess.
Do you think the ghosts from the Frighteners would have been jealous of those guys and their breathing with this scythe?
I don't know. Maybe. I haven't seen the Frighteners in years, unfortunately.
If I had to pick one director to make a movie entirely in slow motion, it would be von Trier. Because my first experience with, I guess if you want to look into this, it's called the Phantom camera. And I keep telling my school they should get it, and they're like, Mark, you're stupid. They'll never afford that. It's insane, and we'll never buy that. But just the footage that he captures in slow motion, man, just the melancholia when they're running in that opening footage. Like, I would watch a 2-hour Von Trier movie that's all in slow motion.
Oh yeah. I probably would too. Yeah.
I would watch a 2-hour movie of the Fox saying Chaos Reigns over and over.
I'm sure on YouTube somewhere there's like a 10 hours just like Chaos Reigns on repeat. Probably someone's probably done that.
Please loop it for us, somebody. And so how about this? Let's take a quick break, and then someone, while we're on this break, you loop that scene for me, and then you send it to both Johnny and myself. And when we come back, we'll talk more The House That Jack Built. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks, and we just drank some tea with some donut pieces inside of it. How was that, Johnny? That's okay. All right. I was wondering at first if I was a sick person for laughing at that, but then I realized that's what Von Trier wanted.
Yeah.
That's a comedic scene, right?
You know what, Mark? That incident 2 is what we're talking about. People were going crazy with laughter during that scene when I saw it in the theater. And actually, I was probably one of the only ones who was sitting there like kind of stoic. But watching it again the other night, I was like, yeah, that is pretty funny. It's so ridiculous.
So his speech to get in. So today, I've been talking about this lately on the pod, but for me, today it took me an hour and 50 minutes to get to work. I got stuck in like a crazy traffic jam. And so what I do is if, I watch the movie, I take all the notes, but if I know I'm recording that day, I'll put the movie on and I'll listen to it. And so I was listening to this movie while stuck in rush hour traffic. And when so in incident 2, he's trying to get into this woman's home. And at first he says he's a cop. And he's like, well, I don't have my badge because I got a promotion and they're inscribing stuff on it. And he's like, well, no, never mind.
What is it, at the silversmith or the tinsmith or something?
The silversmith shop. and they're inscribing new things on it. And then he's like, well, oh, surprise, I'm an insurance guy, and I can get you double your husband's pension because she's a widower. And then a guy drives by, like Hank, and she's like, oh, hi, Hank. And he goes, oh, hey, Hank. And she's like, you know Hank? And he's like, yeah, he's a great guy. I mean, just... And then she goes, oh, well, what can it hurt? I'll let you inside my home. And she lets him inside, and she goes to get tea, and he chokes her. And it's not a successful choke. And so she wakes up, and she's gagging because she can't talk. He puts a pillow under her head, and he wants to give her tea and donut.
Oh, here, let me help you.
Yeah. And then he just chokes her.
Yeah.
And then he puts her in a chair. And then he's OCD. So he keeps going back into the house to check everything to make sure it's clean. And then a cop comes.
Yeah.
And then he tells the cop to go inside. It's just his lies. And you're just laughing. And then he drives home with David Bowie's Fame playing, right? With a face dragging down. And then it rains and all evidence is lost.
The Great Rain. Yeah.
Oh my. And no, I gotta say, I haven't brought this up yet. And I highlighted this. But the cinematography from Manuel Alberto Claro. He also did Melancholia, which he's my hero. He did Nymphomaniac, and he did Top 5, the Chris Rock movie. Which makes sense because he's basically the handheld king, I think.
Yeah.
And Top 5 is very before sunrise, before sunset, a lot of walking and talking. Okay. I love Claro's cinematography. I love the handheld camera in this. And Matt Dillon said that it was very freeing for him to have the camera being handheld. What did you think about the cinematography in this movie? Oh,
I thought it was fantastic. And, to your point about the other stuff he's worked on, like Melancholy is a very beautiful movie as well. I mean, in this, he captures really the quote unquote art of the piece with House That Jack Built. And I agree with your point about what Matt Dillon said about the camera or the handheld being very freeing. You can really tell it in the way the characters interact, the way they move, and just, it gives it kind of uncomfortable intimacy.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of actually helps a story like this. In some ways there are moments that are a bit Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer-y.
I was just about to say that. That's awesome.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So I think it really helps, Von Trier make his points, but it also helps sort of underline those darkly comedic or more disturbing moments. Actually, there's a moment in Incident 4, I think, was Simple.
Oh, she's so good, Riley Keough.
Oh my God, it takes real talent to play stupid like she plays stupid in this movie.
Did you know that Matt Dillon had an incredibly hard time shooting that scene with her because he said that she is so good at playing scared. And he said that during that scene, he could barely do it because she was so good, which is awesome, right? Like that's kind of a cool fact.
That's impressive because she does give off that, it's almost like there's this cluelessness that then gives way to like, oh my God, like what, I'm in a room with a madman, basically. Mm-hmm. And then what's even worse is that, oh, well, you can scream all you want to, but you're in this Skid Row shithole and nobody's going to do anything. And who knows whether that's just his perception or what, or if this is how he's perceiving this Simple character, like he was perceiving the hitchhiker and all these other women, like they're so stupid,
And people have made parallels to Jeffrey Dahmer, where one of his victims ran out to the police, but he was wasted because he was drugged, and they just gave him back to Jeffrey Dahmer. So some people have made parallels to that scene, with the serial killing as well. And she was also chugging vodka and eating pretzels the whole time, so she was pretty crunked, I guess, or drunk.
Oh yeah, the cop that she runs to even mentions that, have you been drinking, ma'am? And then it turns into that thing where, oh well, here comes Jack, and he's like saying, oh yeah, I am a killer, and of course the cop's not gonna believe that. It goes kind of back to the second incident where there's all this good dumb luck that he has, and he seems to be sort of taking advantage of this world where nobody kind of, he puts a fine point on it, nobody cares, scream all you want, nobody cares. And that's the apathetic hellhole that we live in. So
what do you think that if this happens, what do you think the police is going to think when he finds what Matt Dillon put underneath his windshield wiper?
Oh, I don't mean to laugh, but the
that was insane. That was bonkers.
Yeah, it was. I wasn't. Man,
it's weird. So this movie has some really hellish visions, but since it feels like a Tarantino meets Wes Anderson movie at times, it doesn't it doesn't affect you the way that like a Melancholia or a Dancer in the Dark or a Antichrist or Nymphomaniac hits you.
Yeah.
Because there's like, this isn't dark comedy. It's like uber dark comedy, like black comedy, I guess is what you call it. But that scene, I should have been offended by it. But I just thought, I'm not going to be offended by Von Trier doing this to get a rise out of me. I'm stubborn. I don't know what you think about that.
I mean, no, I think I know what you're getting at. It's almost like, I'm onto your game, Von Trier, and I'm not gonna play by. You're not playing by the rules, so I'm not gonna play by your rules. So the joke's on you, kind of thing.
Very cute, Lars.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I feel, his MO. I mean, I think the trickiness with him is that he brings all of this. I think he brings all this like philosophy. He brings this rich intellectual perspective to his work. Like, I wasn't the biggest fan of Nymphomaniac, but it runs through that as well. And I'm like, so I see where he's getting at, but it is, again, it's kind of like the obnoxious kid who makes fart sounds in the back of the room, but he's also really smart at the same time. So it's like, how do you...
Yep, exactly.
How do you appraise that? And that's something he really likes to, he likes to screw with his audience for sure.
I have a question. So, all right. So S. Craig Zoller films, right? They're dialogue heavy. Now, you and I, we're knowledgeable on film. Like we're in a film bubble, you and I think we're in the, top, 2% of people, or I don't know, whatever, 100%, like 2% who knows about movies, probably. Right? So when we watch a Von Trier film, if you and I were at con together, we're in tuxedos and we know his tricks, we're not going to react the way that people walking out react. So do these people who walked out not know what a Von Trier film is? Because the imagery in this is not as bad as some of his other films. So are these people who wanted to be offended? Are these people who not know his filmography? Like who gets offended by this movie? That's a tough question, but you got to answer it because you're a smart man.
Well, here's the thing, Mark, and it really goes back to like what I was my first initial what I was saying about the structure of the film and how it's different than something like Antichrist or even Melancholia, even though Melancholia is not a quote unquote shock movie, I would say. But with this one, it's so detached from a conventional narrative that I'm like, and I've seen a lot of movies, a lot of horror movies that go much further in terms of like content,
much further.
Yeah, I mean, Cannibal Holocaust, please, that goes way further than anything in the house that Jack built.
Bone Tomahawk?
Oh, yeah. I mean, please. Yeah. No, I mean, I would say Bone Tomahawk's more startling and almost more visceral, I would say, as well.
More by far, because not only do you not see it coming, but it's also more visceral.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, it's like you don't know what's happening to that guy who's getting his clothes stripped off of him. And then it's like, oh God. Yeah, that's like a look away moment right there. Yeah. I felt that when I watched that movie. With House That Jack Built, I didn't feel any of that. No visceral reaction really to anything.
I gotta ask you a question. What movies have burned images in your mind?
Oh God. Oh man.
So I think Antichrist has. There's a couple. So the scene where Willem Dafoe shoots blood out of something.
Where she does the where she clips between her legs. Yeah.
That movie, that's burnt. I think Bone Tomahawk has been burnt. Henry has burnt things into me.
I'll go with the about last 10 minutes of Sallow. I don't know if you've seen that one. Yeah, you might not want to. I mean, Cannibal Holocaust, that's forever, for better and worse. That's stuck in my head forever.
Is there what's the image from this that could be, even though he said it hasn't been burnt? I think the moment that he wanted to troll the most was in Incident 3. And that moment affected me the least, actually, because I felt the most obvious trolling in that moment, and I didn't like it with the red hats and with the symbolism. It was too obvious for me, and it was too easy. So I wrote that off immediately.
Well, what are your thoughts on the red hats as red shirts, or red hats as something more indicative of something else? Because I was almost thinking of hats without a certain piece of writing on it for today's.
Yeah, no, yeah, like it's either a MAGA hat or you know, he was showing a lot of hunting by Europeans who are the red coats. So either it was, you know, he was talking about the fox hunts. Remember they showed the footage of the fox hunts, and there was hundreds of them, which makes me sick. So it's either the red coats, right, or it's MAGA. It's whatever you want. But he made that choice on purpose and he left it. There's not an answer. So for me, I didn't like that. I love ambiguity, but I just thought with that moment, he was really trolling. And I don't know why, man, that it felt too easy to me, that scene. There's no cruelty to it because you went from the bratty kids to him killing them.
Yeah. And it's like another one of those moments in the movie where it's like just this jarring cut where it's like they're talking or something, and then it's all of a sudden the wife, the mother figure is huddled with the kids behind something because he's taken over the watchtower with the gun, basically. So I don't agree with that. I'll admit that sequence had not as much effect on me because I don't have kids. And I would have been more upset if it went a Cannibal Holocaust route and it were like cats or something like that, or like you were talking about the foxes.
I would have gone full Liam Neeson from Taken if that happened on cats.
Yeah. If it were like some sort of open air cat sanctuary, I would have been like, okay, Von Trier really. I would have walked out. I would have been like, screw you, Von Trier. I'm walking out of Cannes.
It's crazy that the most. We've already covered this, but the craziest thing for me was watching the duck's leg get cut off, and that never happened. Other than all the humans. Is that weird?
Yeah. I think there's a primal thing where it's like maybe we've become a bit desensitized to seeing people get killed fakely on the screen, and therefore especially when it's like a small animal, it's like, you know, it's just any animal, but when it's like a little duckling, it's just it was.
Oh, quick question. This is totally off the spot, but how many of those pizzas would you have eaten?
Seriously, man. I would have made an attempt to get through those pizzas. It's free pizza, man. How can you just near the end when he's like frustrated and he's like, you know, just like shoving him off the shelf and he's just like, oh, he's all pissed off. I'm like, come on, man, you're wasting perfectly good bachelor food here. Come on. And he's a bachelor. Jeez.
Now, how many of those he had 9 cards with 9 words on them about what serial killers are? How many do you remember?
Oh boy. Oh God. Oh.
What do you think? Do you want me to read them to you?
Yeah, please. It's please.
All right. Egotism, vulgarity, rudeness, impulsiveness, narcissist, intelligence, manipulative, mood swings, and verbal superiority. Do you think he had? Do you think he had verbal superiority? Because nothing that he verbally said was superior to people. He just found people that he could talk to like that. Is that who these people hunt?
I mean, that's a good point. It speaks to that egotism. You know, it's like, well, if you like a narcissist, if you align yourself with people who you view as a couple rungs down from you, you can kind of, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Call them simple.
Yeah, call them simple, but you can kind of like build this little nest of people who are kind of sycophants. It's like, well, they'll look up to me because they think I'm smart, even though I might not be as smart as the smartest person, or even.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's what you were saying, you know.
That's interesting. I like that. So you find people that you can have superiority over.
Mm-hmm.
You're a smart guy, Johnny.
I've known some people in real life who've had to deal with narcissistic personalities, so I kind of have a little inside track on some of that stuff. So.
I worked with a narcissist once, and I refused to give way to my boss, and it got ugly quick.
Because
I went, no. It wasn't good for me professionally, but whatever. So I just want to talk about one more thing that we haven't gotten to, is when he becomes Mr. Sophistication. And so there's a scene where he's very OCD, and there's an entire scene where he keeps going back into a house. It almost gets him caught. He tells a cop, a whole thing. But another kill he has is he strangles a woman, and then he doesn't like the pictures he takes of her. So he goes back to her house, and along the way I shouldn't laugh. He runs over an old woman. And so he parks his red van covered in blood, and he carries a very a hemorrhaging body and a frozen body all the way through an apartment complex. No one notices.
Yep.
And he takes photographs with them. And I love love that he says that I was initially hesitant about the old lady, but they added a great touch of humor with the photographs.
Yeah.
And I love that he sent the pictures to a newspaper, a local paper that was known for, hey, a gate was stolen. So he wanted to help this local newspaper with this crazy story. They broke the story. He killed, 68 people, correct?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And he made a house out of them. We haven't even talked about the house that he made with them.
I mean, all this talk and we haven't gotten to the titular house. No.
Did he make the house? Do you think he built that house?
I could conceive of him actually building that house because he goes through that when he's turning Grumpy into Smiley, he's talking about the methods through which you can use I don't know what, wire and certain tools to manipulate the bodies when they're in a certain state of decomposition.
Yeah.
So I believe with his experience, and he's ostensibly an architect, if we're to believe what we see of the house that he just continuously tries to build and just bulldozes over because he can't.
Yeah, I love that.
Because he can't. Actually, the biggest laugh I had when I watched it in the theater was when the bulldozer comes and just bulldozes the house down. He's like, I wasn't satisfied with it. And it's yeah.
How much money did he get left? He got left enough money to live off of for 12 years.
Oh, yeah, apparently.
Now,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Now, before we're going to head out here pretty soon, but how do you think he died? And do you think he died? Do you think he unlocked a part of his conscience in that room? Do you think he died? Do you think that cop shot him? What do you think? I trust you. I'm not even going to mention this. You're summing this up, Jonny Numb.
This is a really good question because watching it a second time, I was like, wait a second. So there's a weird Mobius or Ouroboros thing going on with this movie because we've been listening to him and Verge talk and philosophize. And then we get to that point where he finally gets entry into that other room, which he's been trying to get into for all these years. And then it sort of loops backward to okay, we see where he was with Verge as he was recounting these things. So I would almost think that's as good an explanation as any. Maybe that house is not a house after all. Maybe that hole in the middle of the room arbitrarily is just him going down into him dying and him going down into whatever section of hell he's being guided to or toward by Verge. I was thinking more literally. With this movie, but it's, again, you go back to how untrustworthy this character is. So it's it probably is a bunch of crap that this is actually really happening on a realistic plane here. That there must be I think something metaphysical occurs once he gets into that room finally, because it seems too coincidental that he'd be backed into a corner like that.
Got it. Well, thank you so much, man. And if you want to read more about this movie, head to Crash Palace Productions, and you can read the review for The House That Jack Built, written by Jonny Numb. Any plugs you want to do before we get out of here?
Not really.
Awesome.
Just thanks for having me on again, Mark. It was a pleasure talking about this. Dude,
you're great. I put a lot of thought into this podcast, and I think we were talking earlier during the break. We haven't talked about a 1/90th of our notes, but I think we left it in a perfect place.
Yeah, I think there's enough here for just hey, if people are interested, it's we didn't really spoil. I don't know that we really spoiled anything either. So.
No, you're right, dude. This was awesome, man. So hey, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Mark.
So for Mark Hoffmeyer and for Jonny Mad Dog Numb, this is Movies, Film, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.